You did it. You've crossed the line most people never even get close to. And now you're about to see everything shift. Most people spend their entire lives looping through the same struggles, convinced that suffering is just something they have to manage. But the moment you're in right now, this moment only appears after life has tested you long enough to know you're finally ready to stop carrying what was never meant to be permanent. You didn't find this video at the beginning of a journey, you found it at the point people usually miss. And the weird part? This release is never normal at first. You start noticing strange events take place in your life, and there's a good reason for it. Things don't get weird because reality changes. They get weird because you finally did. The moment someone says, "I'm done," the universe listens. That's why things feel different now. That quiet shift inside you, the one you barely noticed, is exactly what rearranged your place in the world. Not the world itself, your position inside it. It's not randomness, it's alignment snapping into place the moment you stop tolerating what was breaking you. Because when you decide you're finished suffering, life stops testing you and starts guiding you. And that guidance doesn't arrive gently. It arrives unmistakably in ways that will make the next thing you're about to hear feel almost unbelievable. When someone reaches this phase, the mind doesn't stay quiet anymore. It begins speaking in the only language it can use when your waking life is shifting too quickly: your dreams. And for many people, this is the first sign that something deeper is happening. You may notice that your dreams become more frequent, more vivid, or strangely symbolic in ways that don't fully make sense yet, but still feel important. These dreams often appear when you finally reach a point of inner release. When your body and your soul recognize that you're stepping out of a cycle of pressure, they begin sorting through the residue that never had space to be processed. Stress, unspoken fears, quiet breakthroughs, forgotten hopes, all of it comes up in dreams, not to confuse you, but to reorganize you. It's common for these dreams to feel chaotic or contradictory, but that doesn't mean they're random. They're a reflection of a mind rearranging itself now that you're no longer trapped in survival mode. Think of it as your inner world trying to catch up with who you're becoming. You're shifting, so your subconscious needs to shift too. And sometimes the dreams won't tell you anything directly. They'll simply make you feel something you've avoided feeling. That emotional release is the message in itself. Many people find that journaling these dreams helps anchor the clarity that's trying to surface. You don't need to interpret every symbol. You just need to notice the patterns. Because in this stage of your life, the dreams aren't predicting something. They're confirming it. They're showing you that the shift has already begun, even if your conscious mind is still adjusting. What you see at night is the part of you that's always known where you were meant to go, and now it's finally being allowed to speak. And once the subconscious catches up, the world around you starts revealing itself in a way that feels almost unreal. Real life has always been strange. You were just too numb to notice. Most people spend their lives trying to make reality logical, organized, predictable, but the moment you step out of the survival mindset, you begin to realize that life never actually worked that way. This world is not linear. It doesn't operate like a clean sequence of events. It's symbolic, it's interconnected, and sometimes it responds to your inner state faster than you can understand. What feels like weirdness isn't something new showing up. It's something old becoming visible. You're not entering a strange world. You're finally seeing the one that was always here, beneath all the noise and numbness. When your awareness rises, the veil drops, and the subtle patterns of life start standing out in ways you can't ignore anymore. Sudden coincidences, perfectly timed encounters, unexpected emotional clarity, random pieces of information that fit your life too precisely, none of this is random. It's the natural behavior of a reality that responds to identity, not effort. You just never had access to this layer before because survival mode thinking flattens everything into routine. Now you're operating from a truth-based frequency. That's why things feel unfamiliar. It's not because the world changed overnight. It's because you're finally aligned enough to perceive it. The real version of life isn't strict or mechanical. It's fluid and deeply responsive. It moves with you, mirrors you, redirects you, and sometimes even tests you to see if you're ready for what you've been asking for. The weirdness is the confirmation that you're awake, that you're not running on old scripts anymore, that you're stepping into a reality built on clarity instead of denial. And once this layer reveals itself, what comes next is even stranger and far more powerful. One of the most surprising things about reaching this phase is how quickly small wins begin to gather around you. They don't arrive with fireworks or dramatic breakthroughs, and that's exactly why so many people overlook them. But once your internal resistance dissolves, once you stop clinging to the version of you that was built for survival, life starts clearing space for progress in ways that feel almost effortless. Suddenly, things that used to drag on for weeks resolve in a single conversation. Problems that once felt heavy begin sorting themselves out without you having to push. People become more cooperative. Opportunities land softly instead of demanding a battle. These little shifts don't look like miracles at first, but they're the earliest signs that momentum has finally turned in your favor. It's the universe showing you that flow returns the moment force leaves your system. You begin noticing loose ends tying themselves up, not because you're working harder, but because you've stopped feeding your energy into what was wasting it. A late payment gets approved, a misunderstanding clears up, a delayed opportunity resurfaces, a chance meeting leads to unexpected clarity. None of it feels dramatic, but all of it feels timely. And the more you acknowledge these small wins, the faster they begin stacking. This is how momentum actually works spiritually. It starts in whispers long before it shows up in waves. It's like life is testing how ready you are to receive ease, not because ease is rare, but because you finally reached a point where ease doesn't terrify you. The real reason these wins gather quickly is simple. Once resistance dissolves, life no longer has to fight you to move you forward. Alignment doesn't need intensity, it needs openness. And now that you've reached the point where you're done suffering, you're finally open to victories that don't require pain to justify themselves. When the inner door unlocks, the outer world rushes to match it. And once that rush begins, something else becomes impossible to ignore. Because while progress accelerates, one very specific part of your life will begin resisting in a way that feels too intentional to dismiss. After the momentum starts building, something unusual happens that almost everyone in this phase experiences. Small disruptions begin appearing in one oddly specific area of your life. Not everywhere, just one. It could be finances, communication, timing, transportation, relationships, routines, or even just one person who suddenly becomes more difficult than usual. And what makes this so strange is how targeted it feels. Everything else flows, but this one area tightens like a knot that won't loosen. This isn't chaos. This isn't misfortune. This is precision. It's life highlighting the exact place where correction is overdue. Because once you stop suffering unnecessarily, life stops letting you ignore the one problem you've been tolerating out of habit. These disruptions are not punishments. They're pressure points. When the rest of your life starts to flow, the friction that remains becomes impossible to overlook. A recurring delay, a conversation that keeps breaking down, the same small inconvenience repeating itself until it gets your attention. Each one is designed to make you confront a pattern you've outgrown but haven't addressed yet. This kind of pressure is intelligent. Life is no longer scattering difficulty everywhere. It's concentrating it in the one place that needs to evolve for the rest of your momentum to continue. When everything else is improving, the one stubborn area isn't working against you. It's guiding you towards something you've been avoiding. When life isolates the friction, it's preparing you for the breakthrough behind it. The moment you stop misinterpreting this targeted resistance as bad luck, you begin seeing it for what it truly is. The final anchor that needs to be lifted so your progress can move freely. And once that anchor loosens, the entire trajectory of your journey shifts again, because the next phase after isolated friction is where reality starts responding in ways that feel almost orchestral in their timing. One of the strangest things you'll notice in this phase is how often you'll come right up to the edge of something meaningful without actually stepping into it. You'll arrive somewhere just a few seconds after a conversation you needed to hear has already ended. You'll open your messages right after someone important goes offline. You'll pause before making a decision and only later realize that the hesitation saved you from choosing too quickly. These near misses feel intentional, almost like someone is adjusting the timing of your life with a level of precision you've never experienced before. Most people interpret these moments as bad luck or missed chances, but they're actually signs that your awareness is being sharpened, not through punishment, but through timing. When life wants you to start paying attention, it doesn't overwhelm you with consequences. It gives you gentle misalignments that force you to look closely at what you would have walked into. It's like the universe is showing you the doorway, but keeping you from rushing through it before you're ready. These near misses often reveal how much timing matters more than effort. They teach you to slow down, observe, and feel into situations instead of acting automatically. You start noticing that these almost moments aren't random at all. They highlight patterns, they reveal where your energy is being pulled, and they make you conscious of details you would normally ignore. And the most interesting part is that nothing is actually taken from you. The opportunities you're meant for won't disappear. They're simply delayed until the version of you that can handle them fully has arrived. Near misses are a form of guidance that doesn't cost you anything. They are calibration points, not failures. You were never late, you were being aligned. This next stage confuses almost everyone because it doesn't look like the dramatic isolation people talk about online. It's not loneliness. It's not abandonment. It's a suspension, like life has placed you in a holding pattern while something rearranges itself around you. Conversations feel shorter. Plans fall through. People you normally talk to become quieter without any conflict. Time feels stretched in some moments and compressed in others. You're not being pushed away, you're being held still. This isn't the universe cutting you off. It's preventing you from interfering with what's forming behind the scenes. When life is building something that requires precision, it removes you from unnecessary noise. It quiets the external world so you don't accidentally disrupt a shift that isn't ready to reveal itself. That sense of nothing is moving is actually everything moving where you can't see it. During this suspended phase, you may feel like you're drifting between versions of yourself, not the old one, not yet the new one. It's an in-between state, a spiritual intermission where the next chapter hasn't begun, but the last one is already closed. The discomfort doesn't mean you're alone. It means you're being recalibrated. It's a pause with intention. And even though it feels like life has slowed down, you'll notice something interesting. Clarity begins forming quietly. Things you were unsure about start feeling obvious. Situations you tolerated without thinking begin to feel incompatible. You start recognizing which parts of your life were draining you and which ones were waiting for you to notice them. This stillness is what allows that clarity to surface without interruption. This stage isn't about withdrawing from life, it's about being momentarily removed from the noise so you can step into the next phase without dragging old weight behind you. And when this suspension ends, everything that was paused begins moving at a speed that feels impossible to predict. Because once this isolation lifts, life doesn't resume where you left off, it jumps ahead. One of the most unsettling sensations that shows up in this stage is the sudden pressure that you're running out of time. It doesn't matter what the goal is. It could be your career, your relationships, your healing, your purpose. Everything starts to feel like it needs to be solved immediately. There's this internal urgency that pushes you to rush, to fix, to rearrange, to accelerate. And the strange part is that nothing in your external world necessarily triggered it. The urgency comes from within, like a quiet panic that you're not moving fast enough for something you can't even name. But this feeling is not a warning, it's a side effect of shifting out of survival mode. When you've spent years pushing through, carrying weight, and trying to keep life from falling apart, your nervous system has been trained to believe that everything is an emergency. So when things finally start aligning, the mind doesn't trust the calm. It interprets stillness as danger. It thinks slow movement means failure. It panics because it hasn't learned yet that alignment unfolds without force. This running out of time sensation is your old identity trying to keep control. It makes you feel like you must act immediately, even though nothing good comes from rushing at this stage. And this is where the deeper truth comes in. The faster you try to force a breakthrough, the slower it becomes. Trying to speed up a process that is already unfolding naturally only creates friction. When you push too hard, you interfere with timing that's actually working in your favor. There are moments when patience is not passive, it's strategic. Life isn't holding you back, it's lining up everything so it arrives exactly when you're capable of receiving it. This is the paradox of spiritual growth. The more you try to control the timeline, the more the timeline resists. But when you surrender the urgency, not the goal, not the desire, just the pressure, something shifts. The pace becomes smoother. You stop feeling like you're behind. You begin noticing that nothing is being delayed. It's simply being delivered in the order that supports your future, not your panic. That feeling of running out of time fades the moment you recognize it for what it truly is. The final reflex of your old self, trying to hold on to the illusion that stress equals progress. And once you see through that illusion, you're finally able to feel what it's like when your path starts to support you rather than resist you. There's a very specific moment in your journey where something subtle shifts, not in your circumstances, but in how those circumstances respond to you. It's the point where you realize that effort is still required, but the constant struggle you were conditioned to expect is no longer part of the equation. You're working, you're trying, you're showing up, yet everything begins to unfold with a kind of quiet cooperation you haven't felt in a long time. It's as if life finally stops pushing back and starts moving with you. This is the difference between forcing a path and walking the one that was meant for you. And it becomes impossible to ignore once you start experiencing it. You'll notice that things which used to feel heavy now take a fraction of the energy. Conversations that once drained you suddenly become easy and natural. Tasks you kept postponing turn out to be far simpler than you expected. Even your intuition feels clearer, almost like the static has finally dissolved. Support from the path rarely shows up as dramatic miracles. It arrives in the form of timing that just makes sense. You think of someone and they message you. You need clarity and the right video, sentence, or sign reaches you instantly. An obstacle you've been anxious about suddenly resolves with minimal effort. These are not coincidences. They're confirmations that you've stopped swimming against your own current. And something even more powerful happens here. Your decisions start to carry more weight. Not in a stressful way, but in a meaningful way. When you choose something aligned, the outcome arrives faster. And if you're still here, thank you. The fact that you're here means you're already moving into that new phase of your life, whether you feel it fully yet or not. What you're stepping into now isn't random, and it isn't accidental. The strange moments, the subtle shifts, the new awareness, they're all part of a path that's finally opening instead of resisting you. And even if things feel uncertain or unfamiliar, that's okay. This is what it looks like when your life starts aligning piece by piece instead of all at once. So as you move forward after this video, take things slowly. Let clarity come to you instead of chasing it. Let timing work for you instead of trying to outrun it. And most importantly, trust that everything happening around you is guiding you, not punishing you. You're not behind. You're not late. You're exactly where you need to be. And what's coming next has a way of meeting you at the perfect moment, gently, steadily, and with far more support than you've ever known.